The situation across the Balkans in May 1937 has become critical and complex. While we are supporting currently we were planning to support the Austrian Empire, Austria has made several very, very questionable decisions in their in the recent days. First, they have tried to force a partition on the other half of the dual monarchy, and Hungary has, violently protested, which we cannot necessarily condone, but which at the same time does make some sort of sense. And then the Austrian Empire, has decided to cancel the non-aggression pact. Given Austrian betrayal during the Weltkrieg in their attempts to negotiate with the Allies behind our backs, I am going to decide that we are no longer supportive of the Austrian Empire at this point, and we are going to recall our volunteers from the Austrian Empire. They no longer have our support. We will not go quite as far as openly support the Hungarian uprising, because that'll leave a bad precedent, and the German government is up in arms. So domestically and politically, this would be a major step in a difficult time. Meanwhile, in Spain, we are attempting to take Zaragoza and cut off some of the syndicalist forces in the north, while the Carlist front is ever more rapidly completely collapsing. So the Carlists at this point have, with their foreign support, a very large superiority along the front lines. The primary goal of the Spanish Civil War for us is to ensure that the syndicalists don't win. If we can maintain the old monarchy, that would be good. But if we lose to the Carlists, it's not the worst, given that the Carlists would then probably be ally themselves with the old Entente, given that they are currently in support. And while we are no friends of the Entente, we are certainly having a common enemy in the syndicalists. So could be worse. Could be worse. We're going to try and keep ahead of the British in our pressure on Ireland, but I don't want to spend 15% consumer good factories on that. So hopefully once we have the first focus in this path done, we are finally going to start some command power trickling in, as well as some actual experience trickling in as well. In East Asia, as it turns out, and thank you to the comment section for pointing this out, yet another thing that I didn't know, the German East Asian group is actually planning a naval invasion of Saigon. They do have some marine divisions here in Borneo, but so far they haven't made a move just yet, so we don't quite know what's going on here in the naval front, and why they haven't started that yet. But that would certainly be able to put an end to the uprising in Indochina. So we can probably leave that to its own devices. And then if we are going over to the Spanish volunteers, we've got that. We've got the Bulgarian volunteers, which we're going to try and separate Serbia and Romania in the north here. We'll see if we can pull that off against the Hungarian backdrop, and see if we can do something about Belgrade. But it is devolving into an all-out brawl. And at the same time, we've got the United States front, where we are pushing into the Pacific states, and we have to take care of potential syndicalists in naval invasions if the Americans aren't going to do it. MacArthur is pulling some troops here, and hopefully it looks like they've brought 3 divisions over. So hopefully things will get sorted out. The downside, obviously, is that these divisions are moving off the front lines, where they are sorely needed. So we will do our best to try and support them as they go. But one thing that's really been showing recently is that our infantry divisions are no longer capable of maintaining offensive operations in a modern war scenario. We are going to need to recruit more divisions, and we're going to need to upgrade our divisions, and we're going to need to do it quickly, because the world is inching ever closer to a major, I would almost say, a major world war. So let's begin by restoring the borderlines here, and when we get the two additional divisions coming in, they can help as soon as they make their way there. We are purchasing some rifles at the moment, just because we are extremely low and production is ramping up. The Spanish assault is continuing, and we have a tank division ready to. We have a tank division ready here. I'm going to send that actually over and help out with the Zaragoza assault at this point, and get the mountaineers to hold the lines on the other side. We can shorten the front line a little bit because we are not going to be pushing southward anymore, so that should suffice. And then if we're looking over at the federal position, we are breaking through, so all we need to do is leave one division here and the other 3 to push on as we go. Okay. So, let me see if I can actually set that up correctly. There we go. 2 and 3. Okay. This makes it a little easier. I have looked up the shortcuts. Somebody mentioned that in the comments ages ago. I have looked up the shortcuts. It makes it a little easier to switch between the different places. Panama accepts the Fallowide ruling. Good. 20 political power. We can spend that immediately on reducing our debt. So given that the Austrians are no longer particularly friendly, I am going to negotiate with the Austrian Empire. That gets us down where we are now, 143%. And we can... Well, the Swiss, yeah, we'll negotiate with the Swiss as well. So we can still bring that down a bit further. But let's see how things are developing on the various fronts. How are we in the air? We've got green air here, so that should help. And we have an additional tank division to assist with pushing them out of Zaragoza. Okay, in the US, the push is proceeding as planned, and over in Bulgaria, we've almost managed to get them out from the line and push them back across the river, and then we'll push north and try to get somewhere, make some progress towards Belgrade if we can, because it looks like our lines are getting pushed back here. In fact, quite radically. The mountain divisions here are being counterattacked. That should not be a huge problem. We are a little short on supply. We might be able to use. Let's see how that looks like, because we have a couple of trucks now in reserve. And again, thank you for the comments to point that out. Can we get motorized support? Linguang has succeeded over in Asia, but let's see how that looks like truck-wise. Okay, so with motorized supply, we are in a slightly better state. So, we'll keep that as that. Bulgarian fight is ongoing. I am gonna have to leave 2 divisions here just to defend, and then we will. We actually do need an offensive line to try and push towards Belgrade. No, not just move there. Try to offensive line Belgrade. There we go. Much better. We might shorten the line here and try to assault. Along the river line if we can. Yeah, that should work. So we'll get the divisions organized, and then we will try to assault along the river line, cut behind them if possible, and see if we can push towards Belgrade. US, we have broken through the first position. So now it's we'll leave the divisions behind. So one division here, second division here, and then we'll see if we can spread out with support. And we will just hold the line here. Okay, we are getting counter-attacked, in which case no, it's fine. We'll just hold here for now. We are getting counter-attacked, but I think we are pushing that. We're pushing that division down. Spain. Okay, they have reinforced Zaragoza. That is unfortunate. So it looks like, well, we have made some progress. They have now reinforced Zaragoza, and we are no longer. We'll keep going for a bit because one of the divisions is almost falling here, and in Bulgaria. Okay, everyone is just defending here at this point. Let's see if we can mount a counter-offensive against these Russian divisions here. Actually, they're Serbian divisions, not Russians. We'll see if we can mount a counter-offensive once the counter-offensive launch. Once that is through, and I really need a fair amount of army XP. We'll leave that running for now. We might try to break through in the south towards Barcelona and just take Barcelona. How does that look like supply-wise? That might work out about-ish. I would love to get the supply up at Zaragoza, but with the reinforcements, it doesn't look too great. They are in multiple combat now, but it looks like they might be attacked from the north by the Carlists. So I'm going to keep the assault going here. And we will see if we can. Okay, we've pushed one of them away. The mountain divisions are exhausted. They need to rest up. But I think the tanks might be able to do this. How's the breach looking like here? Well, we might end up getting this to work. Let's see. And United States we are running very low on supply. Can we motorize the supply here? We can actually. So that works out as well. Interestingly, this doesn't seem to be taking trucks from my own stockpile. Okay, support the assault here. No. Okay, shorten front lines, because that is otherwise going to get an unholy mess of things. We just want to cover this area. So you stay there, support the attack. Thank you. Nicaragua declared war on Honduras. Is that something I need to worry about? Nicaragua is the syndicalists. Honduras, it's not in any faction, but we might have to send some. We'll try to send some volunteers to Honduras. And if we can deal with the syndicalist menace, because the Nicaraguans have caused some trouble here. Let's see if we can send volunteers to Honduras. I should have, the Austrian volunteers are still on the way back, so we'll try to send 4 infantry divisions. And these are the Honduras Expeditionary Force. And, okay, we'll assign the general when we get there. So we'll see if we can send some support to Honduras. Because the Mexicans have already gone syndicalists. And if whole of Central America starts falling apart, let's see if we can do something there. Honduras Expeditionary Force. Why can I only send 3 divisions? Okay. I can only send 3 divisions. Generally, this should be, or it could be from the sheer amount of divisions that I've got already on out. Because the amount of divisions I can send for volunteers is dependent on how many divisions I have in total. So yeah, I'm literally just running out of divisions at this point. So we'll send 3 divisions to Honduras. We'll see what we can do. Okay, we are getting close to Los Angeles. So. This is ongoing. This is... Oh, we got cut off here because... Of course we did. Okay, abort the operation. And we need to get our divisions out of here because the Spanish have, of course, again... completely broken Okay, we've got the Austrian volunteers back. Have completely broken their lines, as usual. And we will need to try and exfiltrate our divisions here if we can by ourselves. Fortunately, we're not being attacked right now, so let's try to break out towards Teruel. Actually, maybe we can break out here. No, they've reinforced. Okay, never mind. Let's force them out of Teruel. Let's reconnect our lines here. And it is getting a little chaotic, honestly. So we'll have to be a little careful. How many days do we have left? We have political power again to negotiate some more debt relief. We've got 15 days, so I think we need to start looking at. Okay, we'll have to keep an eye on this. First, we need to get our divisions out of here because I do not want to lose those if possible. But we should be able to reconnect over Teruel, ideally, and get them out of there. And then we will see. We will see where we can push next. Maybe we are going to try push along the front line, or we'll try another push towards Zaragoza. But first, I need those divisions out of there. Double check that nothing else is going horribly wrong. Bulgaria is still ongoing, and the American assault is ongoing as well. We are now attacking Los Angeles. Unfortunately, we are very much out of supply, and no matter of motorization can fix that. But what we can do in the meantime is attempt to shorten the lines here. So let's start a second assault behind enemy lines, and if we can manage to push to Los Angeles, that would be ideal. Spanish volunteers are about to break out through Teruel, and once we have that, then I'll try to do another assault on Zaragoza. We've got 3 dockyards. Okay, so that means we're through with the submarine refits. And that means I am going to actually... We've got the 2... and the Tirpitzes are... Tirpitz and the Kurfürst Friedrich Wilhelm have launched. Now that is good news, which means I can actually start improving our navy a little bit. Because we are... What are we facing? Let's see if we know what the British are capable of in terms of naval. We don't know an awful lot. They do have a fair amount of ships, and the French as well. So these are the 2 major navies that we're going to have to contend with, which means we will probably have to do some naval organization. So right now I've just got everything in the Hochseeflotte organized without. I'm just running everything on. And we need to definitely run on automatic split off. I'm just running everything on naval exercises to get as much naval XP as possible. But it's probably about time to start organizing the navy, so we know what we are going to be, what we're going to be needing to build next. Okay, I have sorted out the navy to a degree. We have the High Seas Fleet under Admiral Reda, which contains the first Schlachtgeschwader, the first battle group, and the second Schlachtgeschwader, second battle group. First battle group there's some ships still organizing themselves, so the numbers aren't final, but first battle group has 6 battleships, 1 heavy cruiser, a couple of light cruisers, and is still missing some escort destroyers. The second battle group is the more modern ships. We've got the Tirpitz, the Kurfürst Friedrich Wilhelm, and Scharnhorst and Gneisenau are reinforcing this. This group is incomplete. It needs a lot more. Destroyers and light cruisers here for escorts. We have the Ostafrika-Geschwader, the Aufklärungsgruppe. That is just a group of a couple of cruisers and all destroyers. They are currently sitting over in the east. It's not particularly powerful, but we can potentially use them for things like commerce raiding. We'll see. We have the... and this is supposed to be differently. We have the Unterseebootflotte. And the Unterseebootflotte, or submarine fleet, has, I had to correct a couple of the naming schemes here, has 3 flotillas of submarines with currently 10 each. That is by far not enough, but that's what we've got by now. We have the Aufklärungsgeschwader, the Oh yeah, actually I have to show you who's managing things. We've got Dönitz running the submarines, because Dönitz is a sea wolf and a silent hunter, so he's going to be taking care of the Atlantic Theater submarines. We've got the Aufklärungsgeschwader under Willy von Nordeck, who is a who is a spotter. So these currently these ships only contain the Strasbourg and Stettin, two of the Strasbourg class light cruisers, which have float planes. So as such, they're actually quite useful for pure reconnaissance purposes. They're being reinforced with some of the Yorks, and they're going to need a bunch more of light cruisers, because that is by far, again, not enough to keep spotting for enemy shipping in the Atlantic. And lastly, we've got the Geleitflotte under Wilhelm Marschall, who is, I think, a blockade runner, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So these are mostly older destroyers, and they are there for supply supply route and convoy escort. So we will have to potentially also deal with the Baltic, where we currently don't really have anything going on, especially with Norway already getting difficult. And as such, we are going to need a couple more designs. So right now, our production, we're just building, we're just refitting one of the remaining Type 7 submarines here. But then we are pretty much out. So we're going to need a lot of things, because our designs... Sorry, this is going to be a little deviation here. I am still going to be making an actual video about the Navy, but we'll go through briefly. We could start building the Graf Zeppelin class here as core for our fleets, but that is... It's not a terrible design. We could do it a little bit better. So a lot of the old ships are. So if we're looking at the old Deutschland class battleships, and the Königs, which are sort of the core of our fleet, they're not terrible, but they could be better. So they're only doing 19 knots, which is a terrifyingly slow speed. So that's not great. The Tirpitz class is a bit better with 27 knots. And but still, they could be a little bit better. I would love to get rid of the float planes on these things. That's not useful. So we might be we could refit a couple more things here. But right now, I think we are sorely in lack of a scout cruiser. So if I'm looking at the light cruiser designs that we've got here, we'll show the outdated ones. We've currently got the Strasbourg class, which is the only semi-modern light cruiser, but is still relatively outdated. We've got and then we've got a couple of really old. We've got a mine layer here. We've got a fleet cruiser, a very light cruiser. We've got a regular light cruiser with a bit more gunfire power and sort of mixed design here. The Strasbourg is basically the only thing that is semi-useful at this point. So what we could do, these are not terrible. These are not terrible as scout cruisers, but a couple of things are missing here. So they're reasonably fast, and 3,000 kilometer range is okay. So let's see if we can. Improve these a little bit. We could get either of these, but Germania Werft is one that we're actually using quite a bit. So does this give us anything for the scout cruisers? We're mostly interested in range, which is also something that we're up in for. This is all capital ships here. Raiding cruiser, surface visibility. More interested in range or speed. Alternatively, we could use the Wilhelmshaven Werft for these ships, which we're using for the heavies, but this is for cruisers, armor, and production output. Or the Blom und Voss escort ship designer, but that's more for for fleet escorts, not so much for scout cruisers. So I'm more tempted leaning towards the Germania Werft for these. That is giving us better surface visibility, which we don't need the armor, so we can use the better surface visibility. Then we can upgrade all the modules, and we can. So what do we have right now? We've got 250 millimeter SKL 55s on these things. That's actually okay. Then we could still slap a secondary battery on it for a little bit more light attack, and that gives them sort of a bit of a radar potential here. We don't have any radar or sonar right now, and we only have the fire control 1 at this point. So that would be a screening ship, and that would be a scout classified. So that's the Strasbourg B as an upgraded scout cruiser. So with that, I'm happy. If we compare that to the where's the Strasbourg class? There we go. So if we compare that to the Strasbourg's, get a significantly better, higher amount of firepower. She has the same surface detection from the float plane. The same range is marginally slower, but is quite a bit more capable in terms of combat capabilities. So we're going to save that design, and then we are going to start building ourselves with Germania Werft. Probably. How many do I need? I've got 2 right now. I've got the 2 Yorks as well. So if I'm gonna do, probably want like 10 of these things down the road. So let's begin by just getting 2 of them. Let's get 2 of them scheduled, because we'll also need to build somewhat better destroyers down the road. So the fleet destroyers, the current destroyers that we have are terrible. So let's since we're at it, let's do that as well. We've got the 1934 Zerstörer 1934. I am, as a fleet escort, not going to be going with depth charges. So we're going to be replacing. We've got 2 torpedo launchers on these right now. The light attack is pretty dreadful on these things, however. But with 2 torpedo launchers are pretty nice. But I would like to get a light battery 2 on them, get everything upgraded, and also we want to. We can use Blom and Voss for these, because if they're going to be fleet escorts, that'll improve AA and other things here. Anti-air, not sure how much of that we need. Sub-detection, mine-sweeping, max speed. Alternatively, we use the Germania Werft for these, but for the light cruise, for the destroyers, it's not going to be an awful lot. It's just a bit of surface visibility, whereas from Blom and Voss, we're just getting production output. Yeah, we're going to run these on Blom and Voss. That is going to be the 1934A fleet destroyer, and we're going to run these as fleet escort / aggressive ships. So Blom and Voss. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with these values. Okay, so that's the 1934A design. We'll save that. And then lastly, we probably, so we could start building the Graf Zeppelin, or we could we do have a dreadnought hull, but it is very expensive. So the thing is, if we do want to start building one of these things, then it would probably be good that if we started soon. Now let's have a look at this is a super battleship. So the Elsass class of super battleship, but I'm not happy with the design. So let's see what we can do with this, and maybe we can get ourselves one constructed. First of all, is there anything we can? We don't have an awful lot yet that we can. Fire control we can upgrade. AA we can upgrade. The guns are the super heavy batteries, so these are 460 millimeter or 18 point something inch guns. We don't need the float planes on these, because the cruisers are going to be doing that. Unfortunately, we don't have the dual purpose guns on yet. So the dual purpose secondary, we've got a couple of 150 millimeter secondaries, but I would like to at least have I'd like to have a bit more of the heavy guns on these things. So right now the heavy attack, heavy piercing 45, armor is 55. I'd like to be at least at least do a bit more damage. Do we have a forward slot? That is a front 1 custom, front 2 custom. Yeah, we could stick another super heavy battery on it. That drops the speed down to 21 knots, but if we can replace the engines later, that brings it back up again a little bit. And that would be we get a designation super heavy, a super heavy battleship. And we would be using the battle line designer definitely for additional armor. So that gives us a heavy attack of 80. That is pretty massive. Armor of 63. Do we have the best armor on it? Super heavy armor 3. Yes, we have. So we do have a 450mm belt. So the Elsass class, it would be that would be a possibility. Let's save that design, but that is going to take if we get that on the battle line designer, that is going to take forever. So definitely what we want to do is we want to get that done first. So in that regard, let's get that done first, and then we're backfilling the 2 Strasbourgs as we go. We are also going to be needing to build more submarines. So right now, I think the Type 7A is a good design. So we can just... Which one did we use? Schichau or Germania? I think we're using Germania for a lot. So let's have a quick look on Schichau. Schichau is the more dedicated submarine designer. I think we've been using that for submarines quite a bit. So let's get Schichau on task. And just get 1 production line of these, and I will need a production line on the. Didn't I do a dash A? Yeah, there we go. So 1934A destroyer. So I would like the Blom and Voss produced 1934A on a single line. Got 2 of the Strasbourgs. That is not going to be enough. Let's build 4. I'm building 1 Elsass and a bunch of submarines. So I also do need a convoy escort destroyer, but I run out of naval experience for now. So I think that's a good setup. We're going to need a couple more dockyards. So 18 dockyards is not going to cut it. I'm just going to schedule a couple more dockyards. There we go for now, and then we are going to need a couple more civilian factories as well. So let's make that happen there, and a couple more military factories just so we have things queued up. Okay, so that's the German Navy under construction. I did want to get the construction of the Elsass underway. I mean, right now it says April 1944, but that's also because we are very short on chromium. So let's see that we can German East Asia. Let's get ourselves some chromium from them, and that means we should be a bit better. Yeah, Elsass class would be 1940, which is still 3 years off, but the SMS First Bismarck, that should actually be called. I mean, the class is called Elsass, so it should be the SMS Elsass then, right? There we go. I just have to reorder it. Okay, so we've got the SMS Elsass, and that will be the first of the super heavy battleships. Okay, so yeah, we've got everything under control, I think. We do have now a supply hub connected here. So with that, I think we can actually abort this attack. We'll send this division here, we'll send that division there. We'll shorten the front lines to these 2 positions. Hopefully the Americans are going to... the Americans are not going to hold the lines for me, are they? We'll see. Hopefully the Americans are holding the line. I might leave 1 division here just in case. So we'll leave 1 division here. And we will completely focus our attack on the... actually, that division needs to go forward. So I will get that division holding the line here. But No, let's wait until we see where these American troops are going. So hopefully they will backfill here. We're not going to get cut off. We'll commit our divisions to the assault on Los Angeles, and this division here is just going to keep widening the front line for now. Okay, that's what we'll do, and hopefully, yeah, over in Spain, we'll see what we do next. But I think we've almost got the syndicalists, and maybe then we can sweep and cut into the Carlists. You never know. Maybe things still happen. I don't really know about Bulgaria. I think it is an extremely difficult fight that we're having here, and I don't see us necessarily making much of a progress there until we get our divisions improved. And Honduras hasn't arrived yet, and the naval invasion hasn't started yet either. So these guys are still underway, and here's the war is still going on here as well. So yeah, many things happening in terms of political national focuses. Once Yearning for Cannae is done, as much as I want to, I am not going to be taking the second Einkreisungstheorie, the second encirclement theory, but I am going to focus on the economic focuses for now. So I definitely want these two before maybe we'll do this one first, and maybe I can get to the Salzgitterstahlwerke still, or some of the other ones here, because they are looking very spicy. Yeah, there's a lot of economic benefit in some of these, but they all take 42 days to get there. So there's a lot of things we can do. We might still have to do the inflation weaponry to remove some debt, but I want to focus on the economy for as long as possible before we switch to the total war economy over here. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thank you, and I hope you didn't mind the slight excursion into the German Navy. And we actually have a submarine finished, so that submarine can reinforce. Have I set the task force composition? There should be no. The submarine should be a. Could you use the Unterseebootsflottille? Okay, and that should give you a 10 out of 9. There we go. Yeah, so that submarine needs to go over there. So I don't need to do that by hand. And this group of destroyers is still a little bit too large. So that's something we can still deal with. Yeah, but I hope you didn't mind that too much. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.